Hello. My name's Dr. Julio C. Cava, and we are celebrating World's Men's Mental Health Month. And I think it's a great idea that we are taking a day or a month to realize that attention needs to be given to the mental health of a man. So I think it's really cool. So I was asked to do a little video and to talk about my journey as a man with mental health. Now, been working on myself for a long time, especially the mental health piece of it, because it's really important. It brings you well-being, and for you to be the most optimum self, there's things you gotta get off your chest. But it's always been difficult, right? Because of the way it's perceived. I come from a very Hispanic family where men are, mental health is get to work. You know what I'm saying? Type thing, and it was never ingrained in me to go to that part of myself, to try to heal that part of myself. In fact, we live with some of those historic ideas of what a man is. A man is a protector, the leader of the family, and his job is to get it done, no matter how tired or all that stuff. And as I got older, I realized that wasn't working for me at all. It wasn't working for me. I didn't want to be that type of man. And it still goes on, right? Even now, men are categorized as alpha males or beta males, all that stuff. So it's something that has, survived, an idea that has survived the test of times, which is okay. The problem with that is that if that is how we're looking at what a man is, then talking about men's mental health becomes an oxymoron, right? Because in order to fight, in order to be that man, you don't have time, or you can't indulge in, healing or trying to work on yourself or trying to get some of the bad stuff off your chest. And in fact, even some of the bad stuff is hard when you're a man because of those thoughts that you're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to be fearless and making money and all those ideas. And I don't think they exist as extreme as that anymore. I think that they still exist, obviously, right? But I don't think it's that extreme. If you look around, I don't know if you've seen those podcasts and stuff. They're really they trash women because of the way they treat men. But I don't think it's that extreme. I think women do care. So I don't see it as that. So this has nothing to do with that. But ourselves as men, we see it like that. It's ingrained in us. I'm putting an example, right? So, and if we forget about that, it's if women do it or not, it shouldn't matter. We could change the way we look at being a man. It might help us to understand that we need to, take care of our mental health. So when my dad died, it was one of the hardest emotional things that I have experienced, I believe, in a long time, because I really loved the dude like crazy, and I believe me and him were so much alike, all that stuff, right? And I just cried. I cried, and I was, banging on the floor, like I couldn't believe that type of stuff, right? For a week and a half. The only things that I did it from my office, like I did it while I worked. I did it while keeping composed. Like if I had to go see someone in the office or something, making sure I don't look like I'm crying. And I wasn't in a lot of pain, but I was doing it while I was still working. And my wife and children, the people that love me would tell me, "What are you doing? Go home." But there goes the feeling of being a man. It was natural that I have to work. There's a lot of people depending on me, all that good stuff. I'm protecting a lot of things by doing the work, and all of that comes into play. And I would have been better served to go home and work on that. So I think as a man, we need a balance. I understand we need to have some degree of some of those things to be respected in this world. But I don't think it should cost you your mental health. Simple as it is, I don't think it should cost you your mental health. When I say mental health, I mean being able to get some of the stuff, the icky stuff we can't talk to, not even our wives sometimes about because we don't want to feel a certain way. We need to take those things out. I mean, how can you be an optimal strong man ready for the fight if you still haven't dealt with some of that pain or emotion or that trigger trauma and all that stuff? To find that man, that ideal man, which is whoever you are, I think we have to pay attention to that part of it. I encourage you. I'm telling you, it made a difference to me. And I was one of those guys. I was one of those guys that laughed at, taking care of yourself, right? I was one of those guys that, said, I'm never going to a girl. That I think that's for, not so strong men, stuff like that. But, one day I got tired of living those things, what people think I'm, and I decided I want to be the man that I wanted to be. And the man I wanted to be is the one that is not alone, is able to let out and voice feelings, all that stuff. That's the man I wanted to be, and I worked on it. But even now in modern times, and even me being where I am in my life, it still gets in the way. There's a lot of times that when I'm expressing my feelings to somebody other than my wife, it is seen as anger. That's it. It's always seen as anger. It's always seen as anger. And I think, man, that's one of the barriers of being a man and taking care of your mental health is. You got to be careful because people, there are still people that see a man going through something emotional as anger, and there's no way to not make it look like that, because I've tried. I've tried, but people will always see it as anger. Not always do see it as anger. And that gets in the way. I'm telling you, it gets in the way of that barrier. You don't want to let something out or say something and then they think you're angry. I get a lot of that whenever I decide it's safe to do my emotions. But what I say is get yourself safe people. Yeah, get yourself safe people. The women that are around you, and men, but we're talking about here women that support mental health. The women that are around me are, give me the room in life to let things out without them thinking it's anger, and surrounding myself with those type of people has been everything for me. I couldn't imagine a world where you're suffering every night inside about how you feel, about the fact that you're working all these hours. It doesn't feel like anyone cares for you, or it doesn't feel like anybody cares that you're in pain and all that. I couldn't imagine going through that, alone with nobody to let it off to. I can see how that brings about other problems. So it's important that we just say, F it. You're not ever, you're important. Everybody deserves a good mental health. Everybody deserves to heal from the things they don't want no more. Everybody deserves somebody to talk to. Everyone, especially a man, deserves to curl up in the corner and cry about something. That's the way it should be. But there's a lot of barriers to that. And then a tip to any ladies that are listening, if you want to bring your husband closer to you or your boyfriend, you want to renew the relationship, think about how much room you're giving this person to let go of the hard days so they can wake up and fight the next one. Think about how much more room can you give your man to be able to express it, even if it sounds like anger, right? Even if it sounds like anger, but letting them express it, right? And get it off their chest. Because I'm telling you, most times that what people see, in my opinion, it's been in my life, that people see as anger in a man when they're talking. I'm telling you, 70% of the 80, I don't know, a high percentage of the times, you're wrong. It's pain. It's not being able to cry it out. It's not being able to hug it out, right? It's not being able to let it out. So if you want to bring your man closer, you really love this person and you want them to like work on things and you want them to move on something, be the safe haven for their mental health. Let that be the goal. Like, be the place he goes to dump all that stuff off. Because, you know, if you could do that, if you're emotionally strong enough, because you have to be yourself strong emotionally to take someone else's bad days. If you could, I'm telling you, the relationship will get better. He will, in your eyes, start to get better. Because once you have a place to be safe in your mental health, or even like at the smallest points, once you know that somebody else cares about your day, not only how well you did, but also how bad you did today. You know, if you could give them that, it's a new relationship. I know it was for me, right? It was a new relationship. She gave me the ability to start letting go and letting go of some stuff. Listen, I can have a really bad day and this lady will just sit there and let me be angry. Or what is perceived as angry. She'll let me let it out. And it's immediate. It's immediate that it changes the world. So men need that space, I think. I think it's gotten better. But I think it needs to get improved. You know, a good statistic is that the mental health field is mostly women. That tells you how behind we are as men in worrying about or taking mental health as a serious point in life. It's growing, but that just kind of tells you, right? And I don't know, you have to do it. And if you're a man, just go, like, get that balance. Yeah, you can still be that guy. You can still be that guy, but go get your mental health. You know, go. If it can't be your wife, because you can't force anybody to do it either. If it can't be your wife, if it can't be your kids, if it can't be your friend, like, you can literally say whatever you want and talk about it and be able to work it out. Go to a counselor. That's what I did, you know? That's how I started. Turned me into somebody completely different. And I'm grateful every day that I went on that journey. You know, it's gonna be hard. If you're a man out there and you're deciding today you're gonna start working on your mental health and do what you gotta do, I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be hard, but that's what's gonna feel good about it. I feel so good, I feel strong because I went back there and I, you know, invested in therapy and did all of those things. I think the best change that I've had is knowing that I put my mental health first of like everything. And that is a feeling you can't buy. So do it. When I say do it, I mean don't worry about your mental health. Start thinking about what you can do. It doesn't have to be counseling. Do you need some days off? Do you need whatever it is, man? Just start doing it slowly. Start taking care of yourself. Yeah, that's all I was to say. Wow, I went long. Sorry to bore you, but they told me I had to do it. No, I'm playing. Thank you for joining me. Men's mental health. Start taking it serious. Men, go get it. It's yours. I'm telling you, you'll be so much stronger, so much more courageous, so much more fearless if you just take that part of your life and become serious about it. Thank you for joining me. It's been awesome. Have a powerful day.